This ain't you, but I just don't know now.
You used to love me good daddy. You used to love me good daddy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I am your girl, Kandi, and we want to do something very, very special for Pride Month. And I decided to do a Beyond the Ball, and I want to honor people who definitely need to be recognized. And why do I not want to start off with nobody other than the legendary Jack Mizrahi? Thank you for joining me on your birthday.
It's my pleasure to be here. What a gift to be here with somebody who's so influential and amazing and inspiring. So yes, we vibe.
Yes, we vibe, honey. We vibe. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for even, deciding to join me and participate with me for this. I felt like it was very important for us to do something special for Pride Month because everything is getting shut down right now, and it's so crazy. It's like the things that we would normally be doing, celebrating, having fun. I was just thinking about the fact that last season on Housewives, we started out the season, one of those seasons. A lot of the girls was in the parade for Pride in June, and it's like now we can't do any of those things. And so I tried to figure out, well, what would be a great way to celebrate and still be able to have fun and recognize and have fun with people. So Victor and Jeremy, some of my family on my team, they were like, "This is what we should do, honey." And I said, "Okay." So thank you. Now, I want to, for those who may not be familiar, let me just go ahead and give you your flowers right now and let everybody know that Jack Mizrahi is a writer, executive producer, casting director, house ballroom historian, and an iconic international MC. You also are known as the voice of the ballroom, and you have served as master of ceremonies for balls around the world for over 20 years, which is major. And then another thing that a lot of people maybe even more would not recognize is you are an on-set consultant for the show Pose.
Focus, children. It is time we remind the world who we are.
Which is major. So many people love the show. I know I love the show. My daughter, Riley, she loves the show. And I mean, that show is just on the tip of everybody's lips, okay? Everybody loves that show. And you have really brought something to the world with, being a part of it and helping people see what the ballroom scene is all about.
We, the council, we should walk. Butch Queen, first time up in drags.
Woo! I also want to let everybody know that you're also the co-executive for the new ballroom competition show, Legendary, which is on HBO Max.
The most celebrated houses of history.
8 houses, 9 balls, $100,000 grand prize.
That just premiered. So tell everybody, how does it feel? How does it feel to really now, after 20 years, to really be getting recognition for the ballroom scene around the world?
I mean, first of all, thank you for those beautiful accolades and the recap of who I am. It's so rewarding, and it feeds you because it took so long to get to this point where we want to be seen. We want people to know our stories. We want to also be in control of the narrative so that you get it full hard on. Because for a lot of us, when we were doing this, it wasn't really about fame and glory. It's because we didn't have the fame and glory. So this became our fame and glory. This became our thing. Coming in there to win a trophy was just as much as winning an Oscar. You became of the year at an awards ball. That was comparable to like, well, honey, I am the Oscar winner for Vogue Femme this year, and nobody won it. So now being able to sit in the room and having people defer to you about how you should go, how this should look, and marrying my ideas and what I know in my history with what they know, it's a perfect marriage, and I'm super excited. And as you know, as a proprietor of many, many different things, I don't just rest here. The idea of sitting here and getting this experience and building this resume is to eventually keep it moving, because there's so many other avenues that we still have not seen just from the stories of us collectively as ballroom people.
Okay, so tell me about your first ever ball. Do you even remember it?
Oh, yeah, you can't forget your first ever ball. I mean, at that age, at that age, my first ever ball is more memorable than my first time having sex. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, how is that better than first time having sex. Hold on now.
No, like I'm talking to the wrong person now. Here she go trying to get in my sexual business.
Man, I want to.
This ain't coded candy nights, is it?
Candy coated nice. Hey,
Here we go.
I will, but go ahead.
My first ball was in May of '92. I went to the first Legends Ball. Just maybe a couple of nights prior, I received the flyer from Andre Revlon that night, and he was like, "Come to my ball." And that was my first night at the gay club ever. And I was like, "What is a ball? What is this, like a Cinderella?" He was like, "No, why do you talk like that?" So he explained it to me like real quick. He told me to come. So that Sunday, I was home, nothing to do. I looked at the flyer, said 3:00. So I went down there to where the ball was supposed to happen. Nothing happened. There's a sign at the door. Come back at 5. So I went to a restaurant, grabbed something to eat. I was reading an interview with a vampire by Anne Rice. And then after a couple of hours, I walked back to the ball and it wasn't starting. It was like, we're going to start at 8:00. So then that's when I seen Andre. I was about to go home and I saw Andre. He goes, "Oh my God, you're such a nerd. You're here so early. These things don't start till midnight." I'm like, the flyer said 3, So he was like, "Look, I'm setting up. I won't have time to talk. You can come in, have a seat, and trust me, you'll love it." And I kid you not, the ball didn't start till midnight, but around like 11:30, the place just started filling with atmosphere. And that Tuesday night, I had just been to my first ball, so now seeing maybe what I thought was the same people, but like it was a super repped up version of them. Everybody was just done. Like I had a Nike tracksuit on. I was so underdressed. Everybody was so done. The club got so packed, and then the MC came on, and I stayed from the beginning of the first category all the way to the end. It was like 7:00 in the morning, and I went home. I never forgot it. Yep. I never forgot it. It was amazing. Minerva, knock it off.
How has the ballroom scene evolved to you over the years?
In so many different ways. The thing with the ballroom scene is an energy, right? It's not one particular place. I could go and answer that story by saying, "Oh, well, it changed because we lost the clubhouse, or we lost the Mark Ballroom, or they lost the Elks Lodge." It's more about the energy. And when I first came out, it was still underground. Balls could really start at like 12 and end at 7, or literally start at 6 a.m. and finish at 3 p.m. It was much more tight-knit because it was just so many of us, but condensed, right? Now the ball is worldwide. Intimacy is still there, because you build the camaraderie amongst your people. But when it was like that contained, like New York City, New Jersey, maybe Philly, that nucleus, it's this magic, like, and when you get like the older people that went to balls back in the 70s and you just sit in a room and watch them, you watch them amongst themselves, it's just unbelievable. Like to watch Junior LaBeija still up with the candor and the attitude and the magic and the drama, and it's just such an essence. So I think that's what's changed. I think now when you see people, they go to balls and they're enjoying it, and the categories are just as vibe and live, but it's essence. Like if you didn't marinate in that, you missed that just a little bit.
Do you feel like the shows like Pose and Legendary, do you feel that it helps or hurt the future of ballroom?
I think Pose and Legendary both in different ways help. For Pose educated. What I love about Pose now is that everybody loves Pose, but to hear the aunties and the older aunts and the sisters who didn't understand, the mama who was going through whatever she was going through the 80s and the 70s, and the grandmother had to raise the child and she couldn't, now the child had to be raised by, some drag queens who taught her to be herself, it's a whole different thing. It's just it's teaching these moms and these grandmas and these fathers in most cases that tolerance, like this is what your kids were doing when you didn't want them around in the 80s, and this is how dangerous it was for them right up under your nose.
Where's the one and only?
It's about choosing celebration in the face of the darkest of odds.
At the age of 19, coming into the ballroom scene, I was so quickly educated in what really was out there. And the different roads and the different choices you can make to just be able to be yourself. There's different paths.
Okay. Was your family accepting of your life and your choices?
My family, I come from I'm the first generation of a Haitian lineage. I'm the first son of a first son, and they came to America, so I'm the firstborn here. Catholic, very stern, be respectful. So it's not something that I had the opportunity to discuss ever with my family. Right. Now, I was always been who I was, but it's not until I came to ballroom I got to be who I am, like without being judged, you know, and if I'm being judged, it's on a whole different merit. I'm not being judged because I'm gay. Now I'm being judged in the ballroom scene for what kind of gay am I? Am I, you know, serving gay? Am I late? Am I cute? Am I, you know what I mean? So it's a different judgment, but it was all fine because now I'm finally in the room with, I can cross my legs and sit how I want to. I can verbally be like, oh my God, he is fine, and not try to catch myself.
Right.
Being judged. So, you know, so that's what it was the difference. And so for me, I never had to have that discussion back then because at an early age, once I found Ballroom, I was pretty much independent, and I was like, hey, I'm moving out. I'm moving in with my house, and I moved in, and I became who I am. And I've always felt like in that, having knowing that I have a family back behind me to back me up, I try to make as many wise decisions as I can and try to raise the kids around me sort of kind of how I raise, you know, but just giving them that extra thing that I didn't have there. Because you'll be able to relate.
And okay, so this is Pride Month. What does Pride mean to you, and how are you going to celebrate this year with all this like quarantining going on?
So Pride for me is just, you know, everybody's going to say, you know, living in your skin, being prideful, being happy, all that is encompassing, right? Pride is the liberty to just be able to be yourself. You know, whatever it is that you decide to do, as long as you're not hurting anybody, you're allowed to just breathe, be you, express yourself, be into you. And I celebrate Pride every single day, not just the month of June. Being quarantined for me is not a big deal, even on my birthday, because I've had the liberty, even if I was just only a person that lived in Harlem and never left my block, the fact that I can wake up every single day and be alive and be around and still look forward to a future, to the next day, I'm good with that. So when they lift the ban, she'll move. And until then, she'll grow up in this house. I got lights, I got champagnes, I got balloons.
So you haven't been going anywhere. You just been staying in the house.
Only for essentials. If I need something at the store, like when this thing first went down, girl, please, I stayed in the house once a week for food, scrub down, wipe down everything. Now I'll go take a little fresh air. I'll take a city bike out. But yeah, I haven't been meandering.
I mean, you know what? I don't know if Atlanta is different from any, but you know, Atlanta is a party town. Oh yeah, definitely a party town, and Atlanta normally does it really big for Pride. You know? So I'm curious to know if everybody is actually going to stay in, or if people are going to be, well, I mean, because we have they have allowed us to open up some or whatever. We're still supposed to be having quarantine, not quarantine, but self-distancing rules or whatever. So I'm curious to know if there's still going to be any events at all, or are they just going to like cancel it altogether? I mean, I don't know. We don't know what the sanctions and how, you know, the phases. I think they're completely open over there, right? And let me say this, you know, we were going to Atlanta. I'm the first person to MC a ball in the Atlanta scene. Like I helped narrow that out. Yeah, girl, I'm a first of a lot of firsts. I'm a first of a lot of firsts. So yeah, so Atlanta has always been, you know, its own heartbeat, right? And I'm just hoping that if the city does allow people to come through, the promoters should be mindful of the cap. You know, even though we've seen people will congregate in the park and do their own thing, people should just realize that there is something out there that is literally killing us. We haven't got a control of it. And for us older generation who's been around crack, AIDS, gun violence, gang violence, well, now they tell you this bitch is invisible. We don't know what she looked like. You know what I mean? You know that, right? You know that where not to wear blue and red at. You just don't know where not to wear a mask at right now. So, like, take heed. I think people are going to find ways to celebrate and be joyful. But, like, again, you know, we're Pride every single day of our lives that we get to be us. And 1 month, 1 day doesn't, you know, make it or break it. Well, I agree with you on that. I mean, overall, I just feel like, you know, right now it's time to find different ways to celebrate. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to help people find different ways, you know. So with that being said, how can allies help the ballroom community thrive? Allies of the LGBTQ community. For me, we've been doing a lot of the virtual balls. Like I did one on Bigo. Precious has had a couple, and I know they're doing internationally. Like if you really, you know that you want to support, hey, help us give a good grand prize. Like I got a super great idea that takes like $10,000, like, but it's going to change ballroom online. But we could do it, but we need the support. So anybody that want to reach out that way, help us like give out the grand prizes. Because it's funny to see what the kids have done online, like in just the little spaces. And, you know,
just a category. You know, we said bring it in all red for runway, and I had people coming out of closets with smoke machines and lighting. You know, so it's just the innovation of a person in the house. So and we can come up with so many different other fun ways to keep it cyber. So yeah, support that way. I think, you know, if you see a cyber balls happening, hit the promoter, be like, hey, I got $50, or hey, I got an old computer I can donate. Or whatever. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, my niece is here. This is Twiggy.
Oh, you made it finally. I thought you had decided to like not come on board.
Yeah, I was on the phone with Gotham Group about some projects we're working on. So,
well, let me go ahead and introduce Twiggy Poochie Garçon.
Hi.
Now, yes, did I say it correctly?
You did.
Yes, okay. You know, I was practicing to make sure I said it perfectly.
You got it right. You got it right.
Okay, I also want to say, I just want to let everybody know a little bit about you before we go into more conversation. Twiggy competed in her first ball in high school and has been involved in the ballroom community for over 15 years. That's a long time, 15 years.
My name is Twiggy Poochie Garçon. I use she, her, they, and them pronouns. I'm an activist, an artist, a healer, and a producer.
She began as the ballroom scene consultant in season 1 and became the runway choreographer for season 2 of Pose.
Baby, you are our secret weapon. And that is how you do a ball.
That's right.
Okay, and she is the program director for True Colors National Impact Summit, whose mission is to implement innovative solutions to youth homelessness with a focus in the unique experiences of LGBTQ young people. So you want to help us know a little bit more about that, please?
Yeah, so True Colors United is co-founded by Cindy Lauper. We've been around for over 10 years, and we're an international advocacy organization dedicated to ending LGBT youth homelessness. We do advocacy and public policy at the national level, at the federal level, and the state level. We do training and education with actual communities and with service providers, so shelters, transitional living programs, etc. And then we do what we call youth action, which is the ways that we work directly with young people who've experienced housing instability or homelessness to be a part of creating the solutions. So public speaking training, advocacy trainings. We've brought young people to the Hill to testify in front of Congress. And then we provide technical assistance. So like teaching communities how to work with those young people in their actual communities.
What was your upbringing as a young person, a young teenager or whatever, before you became who you are, got into the ballroom scene? Like, were you affected by homelessness? Did you experience any of that?
Yeah. I was born and raised in Portsmouth, Virginia. And it's a very small place, same city as Missy Elliott. Shout out to Missy. And I grew up in a religious family in a very small town. Portsmouth is very, very small. And, being queer, being Black, being relatively feminine. I didn't have the language of non-binary then, but I identify as non-binary. It was a challenge. It was very difficult. When my mother and father split, we moved around a lot. We stayed with family, so I was instably housed then. When I left Virginia and moved to New York for college, I dropped out. I slept on trains, streets, couches. So I have experienced housing instability, and that drives a lot of why I do this work.
Why did you drop out?
Couldn't afford it. It was around the economic crash, and I didn't have support from family to do it, and I was working and trying as much as I could, but loans just weren't enough.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you remember your first ball?
Absolutely. It was October 2004. It was a Halloween ball in Richmond, Virginia, and it was only a month after I met the people who brought me to the ballroom scene. And it was at a club called Colors in Richmond. And my friends, Shushu Mizrahi and Cunt Punch Chanel, brought me to my first ball. And in the DMV, there's these model troops that you compete in runway, but it's not quite the same as ballroom. And so I had done that for a while, and they were like, girl, you should walk runway, you should walk European runway. And me not knowing any better, not knowing there's a category for beginners. It's called Virgin Runway. You're supposed to walk actual European runway. So get out there. And I walked and I got chopped. I got sent on my way. It was my first time, and it was actually the first time I'd ever been around that many Black and brown queer people. So the entire experience, the energy of it all, meeting all those people who were like me, was such an affirming and celebratory experience that I literally remember like the whole night.
That was your community, where you were raised or where you were born, or whatever. But you were saying you had just at that point realized, oh, okay, finally seeing people that were like you. How did you even get introduced? Because like to me, you know, when kids are young or whatever, it's like, you know, and they're still trying to figure things out and they are trying to find their community or whatever. Like, how did you figure it out? How did you find, like, you know, the scene?
Yeah, so when I was around that same time, I said I grew up in church earlier. I started my church as my ministry and dance ministry. And then when I got to high school, I started dancing at a dance studio. And one of my, also, like, he went to the same high school as me, but also we danced at the same dance studio. He's who brought me to my first ball. That's one of those two people that I mentioned. And he was one of the only out people in my high school. And oddly enough, he was in Jack's house, Shusha Mizrahi. That's how so.
But I didn't push you to recruit her.
No.
Oh, you didn't recruit. Okay. No, here's my question. Okay, I got to roll back because you said that you had got chopped when you were in the ball, but a lot of people don't understand what that means. So could you please kind of explain that? What does that mean exactly?
For sure. So for every ball that comes out, ahead of the ball is a ball flyer. Now back then, the ball flyers are literal like pieces of paper with the date, the time, the theme, all the categories that are going to happen that night. And for every category, there's what's called an effect or your look or your costume. And so ahead of time, you know exactly what the ball promoter or the ball thrower wants you to bring look-wise. So no matter what the category is, when they get to it at that point in the night, the first thing that happens is you get your 10s. And so there's a panel of judges and you go out and you perform your category and they judge you on the look and they judge you on if you actually execute whatever that category is. And all the judges have to give you a 10 in order for you to be able to move on and compete against other people.
So that means 10s across the board. So that's where you get that from. When
10 across the board, I mean, ain't that kind of hard?
You either get a 10 or you get a chop. So if you bring it, right?
It's one or the other. It's not like in between.
Yeah. They used to do numbers, but then we needed to simplify it. And we just either it's 10s or chops. Before it was just, it used to be like, you can get a 1 or you can get a 3. Right. But now you just go 10s across the board. If you're bringing it, and you should be allowed to the next level of the competition. If not, one of the judges or many of the judges, or sometimes all of the judges can say, hi, yeah! Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that. Okay, well, that's cool. Okay, so I'm going to ask you another question. When you go to when somebody who's never been to a ball goes to the ball, right? Is it just people of the community in there, or do straight people come to it? Like, what would people see when they come? As far as like, are they going to see everybody there, or is it going to be a mixed crowd? What is it going to be?
Depending on the ball. Okay, one of the fat balls, you walk into, you're gonna get, because the people the community has anticipated it, and we're there in droves. Right. And like the Mugler ball in October, they did it at the PlayStation Theater, where Rihanna actually gave out the $10,000 for Face, right? So people heard about this ball for 6-7 months, right? And they swarmed. They had to be there. So I had people that lived on my block who was like, "Oh my God, I saw you at the ball." I was like, "Where are you at?" "In the bleachers." I was like, "Work." But you know what I mean? So you will see faces, but what you're going to get caught up in is the energy. Whether you're from a ball or not, you're going to just feel like, oh, something's about to go down. Like houses are buzzing, getting prepared. Houses are coming in feeling superior. Like, we got this in the bag type, you know? It's that energy. I think you could combine it to Super Bowl with prom night and, you know, like, Mystic, I'm coming to slay her today because this is my night. And that's the attitude. So you get it's an infectious attitude. And the minute you hear the commentator or commentators, or you start seeing that roll call in the beginning where you're just seeing people are just chanting and screaming people's name, and you hear the energy, now you're just going to see whatever. And then hopefully you'll have somebody, if you listen to the commentator, if it's me, you'll get a narrative of what's happening. You won't get lost, you know? And I always try to commentate with that idea of there are people in the crowd who are not from the community.
Exactly.
You know, and so I try to catch you up as quickly as I can without holding up the process. But it's a journey, baby. You're gonna ride up and down with the girls, and you're gonna be lost in it. Before you know it, you're gonna go home wondering which house is gonna accept you, which house can you apply for. Chants are gonna stay in your head. You're gonna remember.
That's a good question. How, if you want to be a part of a house, How do you do it? Like, what do you have to do?
The house parent, you hit up the house leader, or you hit up a house member and be like, I'm interested in your house. I think, I like what you guys do, and do a little research. Just don't get caught up because you went to one ball and you like the way the chant
one
sound.
person,
But sometimes too, that's okay because that's something that influenced you, that inspired you. But especially in the now, when houses are bigger, and if you're looking for family, try to build a bond with the people first. Because you can't just jump into it. But if you're looking to just dominate for competition, which Kandi, when you alluded to the difference between last time and now in Ballroom, is that now it was competition for the right to have a name, to make something for yourself, to identify, to show you that you could be something, right? Now it turned into competition. Like, girl, I am that bitch. I need this money. Girls need to know my name because I need my clips to go viral. This is the ball that's gonna make me a star. You know what I mean? So people are coming at it for different reasons, as opposed to every one of us who came to it needed it for us to breathe.
Yeah.
That was a breathing mechanism. Ballroom allowed all of us to breathe back then.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anybody know anything about money? It's Miss Kandi, Miss Unforgettable.
I don't even want to get into it. Don't even let me go there and talk about all that.
You don't even got to, because we know, like, you have been, a staple for us. You have been an inspiration, a woman that we watch, and you break that norm of what you expect on reality TV. You really have. Forget what people want to say about, your narrative and your storylines are genuine, you're true, your family, and that's why you keep getting the spinoffs. You don't gotta make shit off. You don't gotta make shit up. You're genuine, you're real, we feel it, and you got so many things in the pot, Mister. You ain't got time to. How could somebody not remember you, girl?
You getting this money?
You getting this money?
I appreciate that. Well, sidebar though, I do want to donate to the grand prize that you're giving for the ball that you're putting together. So I'll find out about what I need to do to make that happen.
Thank you. We love you for that. Wow, that's awesome.
But I appreciate you. Happy birthday again, and enjoy your day. Thank you, Twiggy. Thank you so much. I love y'all, and hopefully I'll get to see y'all in person one day when all of this is over. Right?
Yes, in the studio when we bust our track.
Let's do that. Let's figure that out. Well, thank you for joining Beyond the Ball. And I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
This ain't you, but I just don't know now.
You used to love me good, daddy. You used to love me good,